Welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Brandon here with Colton, and today we are doing our gameplay for the Quince deck that appeared earlier this week. So in this matchup, I'm running the new level 1 combo paired with the old level 3 combo. So all Nino all the time. Looking forward needing to those reverses at 1 to get additional cards into hand, so that way I can kind of use those to springboard my game into that end game. With that in mind, I'm playing up against Colton's. This is your Kobayashi list. This is actually the one that actually got you 4th place in Rumble, right?
Yes, this is the 4th place NA list. 8 bar, level 1 combo, top check 3 add, anything. Ilulu does a ton of damage at the top. It's very aggressive, tries to slam bars and push a lot of damage. And it's got a lot of power pieces that I think can handle the Quince standby board. So I open with the coin flip, which then procs back to my hand. So I already go +1, which is pretty nice. Usually, into a standby game, a 1k1 will maybe try to not let the standby deck get to 1 first. I think Dragon Maid can handle it. I don't really have any good zeros in my hand other than the coin flip again. And I also have a drop search, but I don't want to use it here. So I decided to just swing the 1 because me going to 1 first is totally fine, because it allowed me just to combo off and start going without having to play the power game for the first combo turn. And I have the coin flip down as well, so the coin flip's gonna potentially plus me 1 again. So
I'm over here playing the game of just trying to figure out what cards I want to actually get in hand, try to build my hand for the level 1 combo. I put the 1/1 back row piece in the waiting room from the Rico to be able to give my cards a little bit more mill potential here. So I can get some more standby targets in, so when I slam standby down next turn, I have those targets available. I do have 2/2/2s in my clock already, so I have those targets primed for that turn. But just trying to get some more pieces in there in case I trigger standby here, which, oh, congratulations, both of those cards are standbys. So I was going to be triggering standby regardless. I elect to put the level 3 in waiting room just to try to make sure I don't lose track of them.
Oddly enough, the coin flip fails because I mill a CX and then I cancel out anyway.
Yeah.
So I was fully expecting to go to 1. I don't. So I decide to play the drop search. I go get my combo. I'm tri-fielding because I can present 2/2/1, push you into the middle of 1. You are also on standby, and I know your stuff doesn't mill very well, so one of the ways that Dragon Maid plays into stuff with standby is basically arguing that it's going to push a lot more damage because it's slamming bar as opposed to standby, and most standby combos don't mill. So standby decks don't tend to mill as well. I think I can get you into level 2 before your refresh point, which goes really far to making sure that those bigger swings in the second half of the game also stick.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
But this time I also know I'm going to eat some damage. So
yeah. I'm able to present triple combo here, so I'm able to effectively try to work my way through the deck as well. I potentially lost a lane with the bounce back to hand, so I knew I was going to get that reverse, but I figured the +2 and potential third was definitely going to be worth it here. I do trigger standby on the last swing to get that 2/2 onto stage. So I have now 2/2/2s ready to go. I just bring it to the front row because realistically, as much as the combo does benefit me regarding getting those reverses, once I have board, I'm hoping to keep board here. I look at my hand for any additional any additional mill pieces. I was hoping for the brainstorm, but the brainstorm is both in level and in clock. I leveled 1 because I'm I only need 1 brainstorm to actually make this go off. And then I immediately clock it with the next piece of damage, so being short that brainstorm here was a bit on the tough side because that's the piece I actually wanted here. But I grabbed the backup because I'm like, you sit at 5-5 base. I could probably get there. I can defend 8-5.
That's the thing I'll say. Yeah. One of the things that's really good about Dragon Maid that I don't hear enough people talking about is that it actually plays a really good offensive power game. There's a ton of power in the set. You have the slots to play the power stuff. I procced yet another coin flip. So that coin flip has plus me 3 turns in a row now. So I clock it to go get more cards. I've got a big hand because the plus in game at 0 is really strong. I play the bouncer. I don't bounce anything, but I pump 2k off of it to the Toru. And the back row, the Kanon gives 15. The bounce back gives another 1,000. And the level 2 killer can't be backed up. So I'm at like 8-5, 8, and 11 here in this spot. So I know that I'm going to win 2 lanes and at most tie one if you opt to back up the third one.
Yeah.
And I'm also able to mill out the rest of my deck and get to the refresh point that I want.
6-5 plus 2-5 is 9. So being outside of my counter range.
9 and 8-5, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Being outside of the counter range in 2 lanes, because I can't back up one and then the other one is too big. At most, I could tie it here, but then I still lose the lane, so I would still be trying to shill out another combo from hand, or paid more for the card than it's actually worth. So it wasn't worth backing up there.
Yeah.
I do hand encore the 1, and I'm like, okay, if I can remove your stuff from board, try to close out your board, maybe you can't do it again the next turn. I recognize you have the Kanon, so you're going to save that 1-1, or the 1-0 rather, to get rid of another 2-2. But I'm like, okay, if that's going to be the case, I'm level 2 already. I can probably get level 3s and board. Let me see what I have to work with here.
Yeah, the Kanon and the level 2 killer work in tandem really well together because you can tap the Kanon and pump the level 2 killer up to 11-5 when it faces a 2. So it just contests Alice. And then you can use the Kanon to keep the level 2 killer on the board to kill another level 2. So it's good. Really good synergy between those 2 cards. And I also, if I want to, I can just keep a combo on board instead. I have another copy of the Toru in hand that I just picked up off the combo. So I'm probably going to save the level 2 killer. At least that's my plan.
Yeah.
At this point. And again, I know that, at the most you're going to push, 2-2-1 before triggers. So you're probably going to get some standby triggers because you have that back row, but I can match that damage output. And I'm better compressed than you right now because I was able to push you into that bad refresh point. So if we're just playing a damage game, which is really what Dragon Maid wants to do more than anything else, it wants to make the game a damage game. You can win board all you like, but I'm going to stick a lot of damage, and I'm going to kill your units enough so that you don't have the gas to completely go off with your top end at the end of the game.
Which is fair. I do stand by out the Ichika so I can potentially get more cards into hand. I figure my hand selection right now is not super great, recognizing that you don't play early plays, so the anti-change bomb is not useful right here.
Yep.
They only really have one lane that I actually want to keep alive through counter range if you can step over it. And so it's like, okay, I've got more or less this handouts here with the 1-0s. I've got the shuffle back, so I can potentially try to shuffle back more triggers or more standbys. But realistically, I need some more cards in hand. So that was part of the reason for the Ichika there.
Yeah. I really wanted to draw into a CX here for more damage push. I didn't. So I'm at literally, I think, 7 out of 18 right here. Because I just 8-5 the previous turn. So I ate a lot of damage. I know I'm compressed at this point. I also know what my trigger is because of the brainstorm. So I'm pushing 2-2-1 here, which is fine. It all sticks. I also don't want to use any more stock because I really want to be at 8 stock because um that's where I want to be for two Ilalus and a Icy Tail.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So I know I'm compressed. I don't plan on going to 3 here, but I'm getting ready just in case I do.
Yeah, and my turn, I'm really trying to figure out, like, okay, I'm level 3. I've got some cards, I've got some tools I can mess around with here. I get the combo to hand. I don't have the standby itself. So I'm like, okay, what can I do
Mm-hmm.
with this? Let me filter my hand just a little bit more, so that way I can try to do something with this. Like at this point, I'm more or less trying to sustain at some point. Like, okay, I'm like, I would really like another turn. I'm planning on healing.
Mm-hmm.
I have another 3/2 in the waiting room for the power, so I don't need to bring in the back row power in this case. So I'm like, okay, if I can just stand by in the back row power, I could probably burn one here just to try to get you a little bit closer and see if I can just push you a little bit more with vanilla damage. I recognize that pushes you into 3, but I can also push through my deck just a little bit, which should be enough to get the pieces that I need ready to go. Pulling the climax there, I'm like, okay, perfect. If I can just get you in the better deck state, because right now you were
Mm-hmm.
quite a few climaxes
Yeah.
still left in deck.
Yeah. And that's another reason why Dragon Maid wants to push that damage in the mid game as much as possible, slam the CX as much as it can, is because if you do, when your opponent does go to 3, they just don't have the gas. They don't have the cards, they don't have the stock. They missed a turn of fixing, they missed a turn of stock generation. So at best, and like you don't have the right
Yeah.
CX here, but at best you were going to get 1 lane of combo. I eat 5 off the top. Well, not off the top, but I eat 5 here. So like I know I'm super compressed. I think I miscount my climaxes here. I think there are 4 still in deck. I draw right here. I draw the CX here. Um, so I have combo in hand. I have 1 lane of combo, and I have the Icy Tail. I want to get the second Ialalu. I think there's one still in the deck at this point, so I try to clock draw into it. Don't get it. I have the Icy Tail in hand, so I'm still trying to get to that second Ialalu because it's a draw 2 ditch 1. So that will come down eventually. First, I have to go get it. That's right, because I had the extra CX in hand. So first, I have to go get it. Then I draw 2 ditch 1. Still looking for the second Ialalu. I don't find it. I'm like, I know there's one left in deck. So if I brainstorm here, like I didn't want to brainstorm because if I keep all 8 of my stock, I can double Ialalu combo. But I decided to Icy Tail just to try to get the burn one, and lo and behold, the Ilalu's not actually in there. So I miscount that. I hit the Ilalu anyway because never punished. So I had the pieces to like get into the Ilalu again, but I probably wouldn't have bothered at that point just because like I would have wanted to keep a combo instead of 2 potential burn ones. But I throw down the extra soul in the back row. I swing. I whiff the burn one off the top, but I'm siding for 3. And it is the combo. I decided to try to do that instead of the Icy Tail, assuming you were 1 out of 5. Because if I got the burn one to stick and then the 3 canceled, then I would just go with the other Ilalu, knowing that there'd be damage there, and that you'd be going back with enough compression so that the Icy Tail would work. But because the 3 stuck, I decided to Icy Tail instead. You go to 3/5 after refresh point and taking the 1, and now I've got multiple swings for lethal. So the swing cancels there. I opt not to burn here, and I just take the side for 3, and the 3 sticks, and that's the game. So I didn't handle the main phase at the end perfectly. In any case, Ilalu just gets there. It does what it does, even into compression, even into good deck states and all that.
Still, no, definitely close game. Definitely, like you had the right tools and pieces to mess with my deck. But I think at the same time, seeing this deck perform and seeing this deck really play into that back row, choose your own trigger, potentially push more climaxes, push cards into waiting room, definitely helped this deck move through a little bit faster.
That 1/1 back row is actually so powerful because it doesn't matter which 8 standby build you're playing. If you're playing the old, the 2/2 combo, which you played kind of as just a target in this one, or if you're playing this level 1, every one of your attackers gets to look for standby triggers. You get to look at 6 cards and try to, and specifically go for standby triggers. And if you're in the 12 standby stuff, if you've got the 12 standby CX down, you can just trigger a non-CX and you get to look in the top 6 cards for them, essentially. So that is, like, Quint has been the best standby deck in the meta for a while for this reason. It's so much more consistent in terms of getting its standby triggers than anything else because it has these extra standby triggers, and now you give everything essentially choose trigger, right? Top check 2 and pick your trigger out of those. That is so much power. Like, this is gonna, you are never going to be able to do enough on your turn to completely get rid of all of Quint's standby advantage. You can, you can keep it at bay, and you can try to keep winning overboard, and all that, but they're always going to have another 2/2 in the back row. They're always going to have, the 3/2 that they spawned in because they're just going to hit triggers all game long.
And I think the other side of that coin is that back row piece also pumps power on standbys. Mm-hmm. So you can also, not only do they bring in new things faster, the Quince is able to also then power up the things that it has already to step over whatever you might be able to put out. Right? No longer does it need to try to contest Alice, but it can step over Alice outside of counter range.
Yeah, and this is where, I think Dragon Maid is still uniquely positioned. Like, even going into fall, potentially, we're still doing a lot of testing. But as of right now, I think the Dragon Maid can still hang with a lot of these, still board-based, especially the standby stuff in the fall season. So I'm very happy with the Dragon Maid deck still. But yeah, in any case, so before we wrap this up, returning to Quince, because this is a Quince video, technically, which standby list do you like better? Do you like this new one with the 1/1 on reverse combo, or do you like the old 2/2 that just stands its thing?
I think they do pretty similar things, so I think you could probably use them pretty interchangeably. I think the 2/2 probably has a better matchup into Alice. I think the 1/1 has more opportunities to get the pieces it wants to hand, so we can do a little bit more hand sculpting.
I think it also probably has a better advantage into 8 salvage Quints as well, because it can win board against that level 1 combo.
Yeah, and it can take advantage of some of those things too, right? It can take advantage of the decks that have smaller level 1s. After that first turn, it's at best a hand filter. At worst, it's a 1/1 target that you were already going to play anyway in the set. Ability to choose your own trigger, regardless whether or not the back row piece is in play. At that point, firstly, when you're playing a level 1 game, you don't have to go super hard into that back row as well that first turn, so that way you can also still get that ability off in all their lanes.
No, I agree. I think that honestly, I think we're in a spot where, assuming that EN follows JP's lead and deals with the IMA, which I anticipate that they will, we're looking at having a really interesting fall season. We've got a lot of really powerful stuff, but I don't think we have a clear, like, runaway number 1 top deck in the format going into the fall. Overlord's going to be good. At least 2 different Quince decks are going to be good. Alice is still relevant. Slime's got some fun stuff. And you've still got, Hollow Live. Like, Standby Gura is happening, among other things with Hollow Live. So lots of fun stuff happening in the fall, and we're going to have more deck techs all summer for all of that stuff. So if you are not subscribed, please do so that you can catch all of that stuff. We're also going to have a bunch of fall meta stuff. We're going to go through matchups. We're going to go through every deck and whether or not it's viable going into the fall season. We do that every season. We're doing it again this fall. It's going to be a great time. So be sure to join us for all of that stuff. In the short term, on Tuesday, we will have an Avatar deck. Brandon will debut Avatar. It's a lot of Avatar over the next couple of weeks. We'll have 5 cards, 5 minutes for Avatar. A Clock Talk, where we will talk about the IMA ban in JP. And then gameplay for Avatar in 2 weeks. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And have a good one.
We'll see you then.